G'day YouTube and welcome to another episode of the Gunman Raw. So another masking video here. So we've got this FG, I think it's an XR6, something like that. I don't know, it's just another car that needs to be painted. So let's paint it. Well, first we've got to mask it, I guess, so that's what we're here for. Smashing this job out. So it only came in at like 10 o'clock on the Friday and it's not even lunchtime on the Monday, and as you can see we're not far off getting a drop of paint onto it. Yeah, the paint was all faded pretty badly, and a few repairs all over it. As you can see, it actually came from one of the other shops and they're busy down there, so the boss said, hey, send it up to you guys. They got it repaired and then took it to us. Get the A-team on the job, mate. Me and She Johnny's out there getting the bumpers ready to go. So I think I'll paint the body and get him to do the bumpers. But yeah, I just got to give the whole thing a coat of wet on wet. Or sealer, as my American friends would call it. Alright, so one thing I like to do with my masking is always keep it nice and tight and neat where possible. And one thing I do actually quite like about this masking tape, the 3M beige, is that it's not too sticky. Like, I've used some masking tapes over the years that are in fact too sticky. So you can see there that it's stuck, but you can sort of do your little adjustments without it sticking too much. I know not everyone likes this masking tape. Some people find it not sticky enough, but I find as long as you give it a proper push down, it's okay. But, you know, yeah. You would think with masking tape, oh, all it needs to do is be sticky, but there is a little bit more to it than that. I think, anyway. There is somewhat of a sweet spot. Ran out of shit to say there, guys, so sit back and watch the master at work. Gotta stay humble. So like I say, you can see it just started sticking a bit too much there, but with a bit of luck, we should be able to rip it back up and readjust it. See, there you go, easy. And it's not even ripping the plastic. Some of the masking tapes you got, if you had to do that, it'd just rip holes in it and just sort of be a bit of a nightmare. Pigeon. Wouldn't it be cool to start a shop with She John? So yeah, like I say, where possible, try to sort of eliminate those little pockets, the flappy spots. So you can see what I'm doing there, it's just pulling it tight. the other day I was down at the Woolworths, which is a supermarket near us, and there was like a woman out the front. She looks, I don't know, like mid to late 20s, like looked sort of nearly too good to be homeless, right? Out the front with her son. I said, oh, like, you don't have a place to stay? And like, I was gonna, you know, help her or something. I just have, you know, just try and be polite and kind to her. I'm like, oh, what, you don't have anywhere to stay? And then she's like, oh, what? You calling me a liar, are you? I'm like, well, why's that? And she's like, oh, you know, you're basically calling me a liar, because she's got a sign there saying that she's homeless. I'm like, no, I wasn't saying that at all. Anyway, I just walked off and I yelled at her when I was walking away. I said, no wonder you're homeless with an attitude like that. No wonder nobody wants to be around you. So it's like, man, I'm going to stay a bit more hands off with people like that. No, screw you, man. But I've actually heard a few people say, when it comes to homeless people, like the worst thing that you can do is give them food or money, because 99% of the time the money will go to the drugs, and even with the food, like, and this is actually like someone who works with homeless people and helps them, right? Yeah, they were just saying that even with the food, like, they're better off coming to the shelters, you know, and being like in there, like they reckon that their system is actually better for them, because yeah, they can be looked after and, yeah, part of the system. I don't know, at the end of the day, man, I think most of it really does come down to mental health, really, in this day and age. Like, but in saying that, there probably are actually some people who, so many people who are homeless that you would never even know about, because they don't do it that way. They don't sit on the street and beg. They just don't have a home because they can't afford it. I've actually heard that there's a lot of that happening. So they might be, say, living in cars or, you know, tents even. It was funny, actually, because my mum was, you know, trying to sort of tell me and talk about this family that she lives in Bendigo. And she's like, oh, I felt so bad. I saw this family living in a tent down near the Bendigo Creek. And I had to remind her, I said, Mum, you do know that, like, because my mum and dad split up when I was like 7 years old or something like that. And I said, you do know that we lived in a tent with Dad at one point. And she's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, like, there was a point there where when we were staying with Dad, we were living in a tent in Bridgewater, down by the river. And to be honest, we didn't mind it, because it was like a holiday. It was like camping for us, but it was life, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. I guess like experiences like that in my early life is partly why I am quite grateful. I think gratitude is actually a good thing to practice, you know. It's just, yeah, I guess entitlement is not a good thing to practice, but gratitude definitely is for what we do have, rather than looking at what we don't have. Looking at what you do have is definitely, because there's always going to be somebody with more, you know, unless you're Elon Musk or the likes of him. And honestly, like, I've been thinking about those ultra rich people. I reckon they're the biggest slaves in the world. They're a slave to their money. I reckon, like, the chase of money for money's sake, I reckon it's a sickness. I reckon it's a disease. Like, sure, like, you got to get that cheddar, you know what I mean? Chase that money, but what are you doing it for? Like, I reckon the goal has to be freedom. Like, freedom to do what you want when you want to do it. Like, freedom to say, you know what, I don't want to go to work today because I just don't feel like it. Like, that's the freedom that, you know, yeah, not just the chase of money for money's sake, because at the end of the day, they're just numbers on a screen or numbers in a bank account, you know. But in saying that, yes, it can take quite a bit of money to become financially free to do what you want to do in life. I get that. Like, it takes a decent amount of money, because, yeah, well, life does seem to get more expensive. But yeah, if money's the goal, you'll never win. You'll never win that game, and it's an unwinnable game, and it will torture your soul, and you'll become, yeah, like evil, nearly. I don't know if that's the right word, but there you go. Gunman's rant on money. I used to be a tight ass in my 30s when I was living there in Perth. Like, I didn't even buy, I wanted coffees, but I wouldn't buy it because I'm like, oh, I'd like sit down and sort of do the maths in my head, right? I'd be like, 1 coffee a week times 52 weeks. I'm like, I figured it out, it's like 500 bucks or $1,000 a year, and I'm like, okay, well if I don't have that coffee and I just stay at home and make my own or whatever, you know, I figured out how much money I'd save and that, and like just always cook my own meals, and yeah, a bit of a tight ass, but you know, that did get me to the point where I am now, where I can sort of enjoy you know, little things like that. Yeah, if I want to go out and have a meal, I don't really think twice about it anymore. So I guess that, you know, yeah, there's a big difference between that and doing anything for $1 and scrooging people over and lying to people, and yeah, I think there's a big difference between that. But yeah, I'd like to shout out to the old man. He's the one that, well, he was never like rich. He probably could have been better off if he really wanted to, but yeah, what we lacked in money, we definitely made up for in experiences on my dad's side. And yeah, he was a teacher as well, so he was good at teaching, so he taught me a lot. And just like to, yeah, just say, I wouldn't be who I am today without him. Whilst he's not perfect, nobody is, you know, everyone's got their flaws. Just want to say a little shout out to the old man, and he made me the tradesman that I am today. I mean, obviously I've done the hard work, but he instilled some good work ethics in me from a very young age. Like I was 5 years old out there painting houses with him and stuff. I'd go out on site with him. Sometimes I'd even make $5 an hour, you know, so yeah. We grew up in a beautiful little country town in central Victoria called Newstead. I think the population's only like 500 people. So that was when I was with my dad, but then on my mum's, when I was with mum, which was most of the time, I went to school in Bendigo. But yeah, every fortnight went and spent time with dad. Anyway, need another roll of tape there. May as well just use this one. Personally, I do generally prefer this one, but they actually end up the same price, like within $1 of each other. So it's not like the thicker tape is more expensive. I always thought it was more expensive, but it's actually not. We get a good deal on most of our materials where I'm working now. We get it all through Alan Mance. Shout out to Mario from Alan Mance. He's pretty cool. But yeah, going from who we used to go, like the prices are massively different. But I think my boss got some kind of a kickback. You know what it's like in the business world. What you see is not necessarily always what you get. I think the prices were higher, but he'd get like a little, I don't know, little kickback at the end of each month or something like that. Nice. Oh, that's it, nice and tight. A little bit of dirt up there. I'm gonna have to give that a good blowout. But that's exactly why you keep your masking tight. So that's obviously dirt from inside here, right? But let's just say that masking was all flappy and there was pockets in there where it could, that dirt could sort of get stuck. You might not get it with your blower and your tack rag stage, but then when you're spraying, that bit might come back and land on your paint. Now look, you're always going to get some, and especially on a job like this where we are masking the windows up, you're gonna have to expect more, you know, so yes, ideally you would always remove the windows, but I was only mentioning it in the previous videos that, yeah, sometimes you just gotta make things cost effective, and it is just paint, you know, it's not the end of the world if you mask a window up or you get an extra couple of nibs in there. We've got a guy that gets the nibs out, and you know, we do our best to sort of lift that rubber up so the paint does sort of go down inside there, but that rubber was actually all perished up the top there as well. Like it Probably should have been like, yeah, I mean, it's easy to say what you would do, but what you actually would do is potentially sometimes different, because I don't know how many thousands of dollars he's paying already to get this done. So yeah, that extra sort of $400 or $500 can, it's easy to say what you'd do with other people's money. I guess that's my point. But yeah, in a perfect world, yes, you would like to take the windows out and then you could change that rubber at the same time, but I'm gonna try and keep these videos to about half an hour so that I don't have to put the video into the video editor, so I'll keep an eye on that soon. See where we're up to. Where are we? 16 minutes, only halfway through. Nice. Again, just taking note of keeping that plastic as tight as you can. Yeah, so paint application, I guess probably 2 hours, hour and a half should see it done. A pretty straightforward job really. And I think I mentioned it in my previous vid, but the Shijun's out there on the bumpers, getting all them, door handles. So yeah, like I said, it's a full respray exterior only of course, but all the door handles, bumpers, I think there's a boot spoiler. All of that's being done. If it was my car, I'd probably just color code them or just even do them in gloss black or something. But, you know, you do have to draw the line somewhere, especially when you're in it for the money. Yeah, I never actually even did a full official workshop tour in this shop, because at the time I was copping a bit of crap and I was probably caring too much about what other people thought about me at that time. Now I'm just like, man, you can say whatever you like, I'll just block you and delete you. That's the beautiful thing about having a YouTube channel. You get the last say. So when people, you know, jump on your comment section and say your oh, what was the one that I copped a little while ago? I can barely even remember, it was so stupid. Brain damage, I think it was something like that. You know, when somebody does that, I can delete that comment, block the user, and call him a brain dead loser. In my next video, I get the last say, you brain dead loser. So I hope you're still watching, but you're not talking anymore. I am. And you know what? Go make your own YouTube channel. You can if you like. Nobody will want to listen to a brain dead loser like you though. Burn. Yeah, I'm kind of getting to the point where I do like working for wages and the stability of it and knowing exactly how much money, you know, you can plan for the future and holiday pay, sick pay. Not that I really take many sick days. Although I'm definitely a bit overdue for a holiday. But yeah, I still reckon I'm nearly too good. Like, that's the realization I come to recently, is like, I think I'm kind of too good to just be making someone else rich. You know what I mean? And that comes down to knowing your worth. That's not being, you know, egomaniac, or I'm the best painter into the sun. No, I'm not. But I'm good, and I'm well above average. So, you got to know your worth. There's nothing wrong with knowing your worth. Yeah, I still remember when I came up with the idea for this YouTube channel. And shout out if anyone's actually still watching this. I still remember, because it was like one Friday night. It was actually when I did have my own business over there in Perth. Friday night, watching the footy, as you do, editing a video, and it was just giving me a headache, right? It's like, oh man, this is a massive edit on a big, one of those resto projects that I used to do back over there. And I just got to the point and I'm like, they can do it. I had an epiphany. I'm like, they can do it. I had a light bulb moment, so I called up my mate Dead Farung. He's got his own YouTube channel, Dead Farung. Well, he's kind of let it go now. He hasn't uploaded in ages, but I called him up because he was kind of like my YouTube mentor. Shout out Dead Farung. And I'm like, mate, I just had $1 million idea. And he's like, what's that? The Gunman Raw. And he's like, what are you talking about? What's that? I'm like, mate, they can do it. They can do it. He's like, the Gunman Raw. He's like, man, that's actually not a bad idea, right? So inspired him to actually make his own Dead for Run Raw channel too. I don't know if he ended up doing anything with it, but he got the name at the very least. Yeah, just a good idea, I guess. And then even on this channel, I never actually quite realized for ages that I could just start talking, if you know what I mean. It was one time I was editing a video, so at the very start of this channel, it was just raw footage. Like, I wouldn't even talk. It was just watch me masking a car and I wasn't even talking. Watch me paint a car and there was no voiceover, you know. And a few videos picked right up. There was one, a Fiat Uno, I think it was called. I did like a bit of a freebie job, or a very cheap job, for our next door neighbour from the workshop where we used to work. Anyway, it turns out Fiat Unos are a really popular car in Brazil, and this one video just went sick. Like, it went gangbusters over in Brazil or South America or something like that. So yeah, that's a bit of a history lesson on the Gunman Raw YouTube channel. Yeah, it's cool to put, you know, I guess B-roll stuff that doesn't, it's not quite good enough for the main channel, but whack it on the second. Gunman Raw. I've got heaps of channels actually. Almost about 5 or 6. I've got one called Australian Car Shows. I never really did much with that. I did upload a few videos though. Got one called Random Cool Videos. I only put a couple of vids up on that again. Another one called what is it? My Fitness Plan. That's right. When I got into fitness, I was like going to document. I think I only did 2 videos on that channel, but yeah. YouTuber through and through, mate. It's in my blood. Again, just the lesson for today is keep it tight, and you can do a lot of folding and tucking it up underneath. Another roll of tape there. I like to use up the old ones first so you don't have a million sitting around the shop. Some people like to grab a new roll every job. Oh well, nearly there. Not bad time really. If I get this done within less than half an hour, that's good time I reckon. Full respray, cut out the plastic in half an hour. Probably took a little bit longer to do the edge masking on a job like this because the doors are still on, but still making good time. We did have sort of half of the prep work done on Friday. We did prime that bonnet because it did have quite a few stone chips in it. Just found it easier to just fill. We still filled the big ones in, but there was lots of small ones, so that's where the primer comes in handy to fill them up. There's some sort of like crazing, like some sort of cracking, crazing type thing effect going on there too, so primer filled that straight in. I only put like 2.5 coats of primer on there. Still put it on with a 1.8. I did put a little bit extra thinners in there. It just sort of makes it easier to sand. I'll leave it at the standard singing ratio if you're going over body filler, but if you're using it just like a sealer or something like that, which is what we were using it for, that's I always like to put just an extra bit of thinners in it. Sometimes like if we're going to be concerned about the microns, I'll even thin it down extra and put it in a 1.3. Like the other day I had to do that. It was one of those red Mazdas, and yeah, it had been painted before, but we've got to keep it under 300 microns after we've done a full respray. So it was already at like 250 or 300 at some spots, so we had to paint strip it, but the boss just said do it orbital, so because there was repairs under it. If we had a paint strip, then you'd sort of open up a bigger can of worms than necessary. But yeah, it took me like best part of a whole day to sand the entire thing back down below sort of 100 or 150 microns. But then I did have to prime it just to seal it down. But yeah, when I did, I just put 2 thin coats on with a 1.3 instead of the 1.8. Cool story, bro. Yeah, just go over those edges. Like sometimes you can see it might not be completely pushed down, so let that be the second lesson for this video. Nice and neat and clean edges, and make sure the edges are pushed down. No flappy, not too many flappy bits. A little bit like that, it's not the end of the world, but you don't want too many big pockets. Sort of things like that, right? So what I do there, you may have noticed I did it over there too, so you can have that, right? But then just grab a strip, and then that's sort of any of those little pockety spots, they're kind of gone. Oh, that's about us. Nice. That was good time too. Just under 30 minutes too. That's 29 minutes and 37 seconds. I'll give you guys a quick run around it. Geez, that camera's roasting. It's about to turn off from the heat too. It does that all every now and then too. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.